It all started when my college roommate and I were scrolling through job listings during our internship. We both spotted an ad, hiring an information technician. Monthly salary, $7,000. Must be available for international travel. No gender preference. Ryan, my roommate, pretended to scoff at it, saying it had to be a scam. But behind my back, he secretly submitted his resume to the HR contact listed. I warned him it might be fraud, but he rolled his eyes and sneered. Some people just don't have the guts for success. Don't be jealous just because I'm going places and you're stuck here. I let it go. 2 weeks later, Ryan, who had just started the job, texted me saying he was injured and begged me to pick him up. Worried, I went to the address he sent. And that's when everything went black. I was ambushed and knocked out cold. When I came to, I was in a room full of people squatting in corners, terrified and half naked. Ryan pointed to me and said, "He's new. Take him, not me." That's when I realized I had been dragged into a pyramid scheme, a brutal one. Daily brainwashing, beatings, threats. Ryan played along with them to avoid being hit. He even lured in his own family and friends. But I refused to harm anyone. So Ryan reported me to the boss, saying I was too proud to contribute. They made an example out of me. I was stripped, cut open while still conscious. And in that moment, I locked eyes with Ryan. "Ryan, please, help me." He just smiled coldly and mouthed, "This is your fault. You didn't stop me back then. You let me go. So you die." I died in agony, every organ harvested. My soul refused to rest. But then, I opened my eyes. I was back in our dorm room, on the day we first saw that job listing. This time, I wouldn't let history repeat itself. As I scrolled past the listing again, Ryan leaned over. "Wait, hold up. $7,000 a month? That can't be real." His voice was full of fake skepticism, but I saw the glint in his eye. The same glint I remembered from before. My chest tightened. I was alive. But I remembered everything. Last time, Ryan pretended to be noble, calling it a scam. "Too good to be true," he said. "Probably a trap." And I agreed. But I was wrong. It wasn't that he didn't believe. It was that he didn't want me applying. He applied behind my back. Now I knew. I played along. "Maybe it's not fake," I said with a smile. "It's posted on a legit platform. Surely it's been vetted." Ryan frowned. "They're only hiring one person. You're not seriously thinking of applying, are you, Jason?" I smiled. $7,000 a month? For college grads like us, even $700 is a stretch. I should at least try. Ryan snatched my phone and marked the job as not interested. "Don't be naive," he said. "You're book smart, but you don't know the real world." His desperation was obvious. He knew what was coming. Good. Let it come sooner this time. The next day, Ryan cornered me when no one else was around. "Jason, I need a favor. It's my dad. He's in the hospital and needs emergency surgery. We're short $7,000. Can you loan it to me?" Same script. Same lie. Last time, I believed him. I gave him the money. His so-called dad surgery was just a membership fee for the scam. This time, I played dumb. "I'm sorry, Ryan. My family's business is in trouble. I really don't have that kind of money right now." His face dropped. "Are you serious? You're a rich kid. You'd let my dad die over a few thousand? I'd rather not give money to something that might never come back," I said coldly. Then I had an idea. What if I take that $7,000 job myself? I work for a month, and then I can lend you the money. His eyes narrowed. "Forget it. I knew it. You just don't want to help me." He stormed off. But I knew the truth. He was afraid I'd beat him to the position. Let him stew. Later that week, a post appeared on the university forum, "What to do about a rich, cold-hearted roommate." It was anonymous, but the S in the post was obviously me. Ryan wrote about how I stole scholarships meant for poor students, how I refused to lend him money when his father was dying, how I lived lavishly while stepping over others. The post went viral. Comments flooded in. I started receiving hate messages, even threats. One takeout order had a dead rat in it, with a note saying, "Hope your parents die too." I reported it to the administration. My advisor looked me up and down and said, "Maybe you should reflect on why you're the one being targeted." That's when I knew I'd hit Ryan where it hurt. But this time, I wouldn't be the one to fall. Chapter 2, The Setup. The next morning, I accidentally dropped a business card from our family's loan company onto the dorm floor. Ryan noticed it. Our company had a shady side business in small, high-interest personal loans, perfect bait for someone like Ryan. I'd overheard him taking a phone call late last night. It was from the pyramid scheme's HR rep, urging him to pay his deposit. "Mr. Carter, if you don't send over the $7,000 by tomorrow, we'll have to offer the position to someone else." He lowered his voice, but I caught every word. And I knew he was getting desperate. "I'm working on it," he said. "I'll have the money soon." Sure enough, that afternoon our company's finance department pinged me. Ryan Carter had just applied for a $7,000 loan. Hook, line, and sinker. The next day, Ryan strutted into the dorm in a crisp new outfit, smug as hell. "Well, well, Jason. Guess who just got hired by that scam company?" "Me. I told you, some of us make our own luck." I didn't argue. I let him think he'd won. Because what he didn't know was that I'd orchestrated the whole thing. I made him think my family's business was going under, that I couldn't help him. I made the job look even more appealing. I even made sure his loan went through fast. Why? Because this time, I wanted him to go in early. I wanted him to suffer longer. Within 2 weeks, he disappeared, just like last time. But this time, I didn't panic. I stayed calm, went to class, ate 3 meals a day, and enjoyed the sunshine. He'd be contacting me soon. They always do when they run out of victims to scam. Sure enough, the message came. "Jason, please. I was wrong. I'm in serious trouble. I need $7,000 to get out. Please don't call the cops or they'll kill me." Same wording, same tone. But this time, I wasn't scared. This time, I smiled. I called him. I wanted to hear the panic in his voice. "Jason," he cried as soon as he picked up. "They've got me locked up. They're beating me. I'll send the address. Please just bring the money." I played the innocent fool. "But Ryan, I'm just one guy. I don't know how to fight. Maybe I should call the police instead." "No, please don't," he screamed. A thud, then a groan. "If you do, they'll kill me." Last time, I begged him the same way, and he watched me die. So I dragged it out. I made him plead. Then I said, "Okay, I'll get some of the guys to come with me." That wasn't to help him. That was to make sure he didn't switch targets and trap someone else instead. Then, I walked straight into the local police station. "My roommate might have been kidnapped by a scam organization," I said. He sent me an address and begged me not to call the police. "I'm scared. Can you help?" The officer's eyes lit up. Turns out the department had been investigating this human trafficking ring for months. But they needed proof, someone on the inside. I was the answer to their prayers. They quickly assembled a 6-man undercover unit. I would go in with them as bait. "You're sure you can do this?" One officer asked me in the van. "We're going in deep. It's not going to be easy." "I've been through worse," I said. He smiled. "Don't worry, kid. Even if we take a few hits, we'll keep you safe." That was all I needed to hear. We arrived at the location, an abandoned warehouse posing as a training center. I trembled at the door, haunted by memories of being stripped and butchered. But I stood tall. "Where's my friend?" I yelled. "What have you done with him?" A goon sneered. "Feisty. You'll see him soon." Then they raised their bats. I threw my hands up. "Please, don't hurt me. I'll do anything. Just don't hurt Ryan." They smirked. Smarter than he looks. They took us inside. There he was, Ryan, bruised and swollen, but smirking. "You didn't think I'd go down alone, did you?" He hissed. "If I have to rot in hell, I'm dragging you with me." I looked at him like he was a stranger. "I treated you like a brother," I said quietly. "How could you?" He laughed bitterly. "Brother, you're a rich kid. You'll never understand what it's like for the rest of us. All I ever wanted was to beat you at something." I stared at him. So that was it. All those years I helped him, fed him, paid his way, supported him through breakups. He was seething with envy the whole time. A rat in the gutter, desperate to drag me down just to feel equal. Fine. I let him feel it. We were thrown into the same dorm-style barracks. Wake-up calls before sunrise, beatings for failing to recruit, non-stop propaganda. But unlike last time, I was ready. I played along. I earned their trust. And every day, I fed the police more evidence. Eventually, Ryan couldn't meet his quotas. The boss, Big Mike, had him tied to a post and flogged. Ryan howled in pain, eyes locked on me. "Please, Jason, help me." I stepped forward, leaned in and whispered, "You deserve every second of this." He passed out. The next day, Big Mike gave me a private room. his version of a reward. I used it to keep an eye on Ryan. When the signal came, the police burst in. Chaos erupted. Screams, fists, sirens. They dragged everyone out, including Ryan, who couldn't walk. As he passed me, he glared. "You were supposed to die," he whispered. "I was supposed to win." I smiled. "You still don't get it, Ryan. You never had a chance." Chapter 3. The Reckoning. After the sting operation, I was hailed as a hero. The police publicly commended me for my bravery and undercover work. My story made local headlines. College student infiltrates human trafficking ring, saves dozens. Reporters wanted interviews. Professors praised me in class. But I kept a low profile. Fame wasn't what I was after. What mattered was that justice had begun. The university's online forums soon blew up again, but this time it wasn't slandering me. Someone had dug up that old anonymous post calling me a cold-blooded rich boy who refused to help a dying roommate. Now, people were asking questions. Was it true? I decided it was time to speak up. In a casual interview, I calmly explained everything. How Ryan lied about his dad being sick to borrow money. How he got involved in a scam and tried to drag me down with him. 2 other dorm-mates backed me up, confirming everything I said. Public opinion turned fast. Can't believe we bullied the wrong guy. He risked his life to save his friend and still got defamed? The backlash against Ryan was immediate and brutal. Meanwhile, Ryan was lying in a hospital bed. Not only had he been beaten senseless at the compound, but during his loan repayment process, he had defaulted badly. The collectors didn't go easy on him. One visit later, he was missing a kneecap. And now the truth was out. He'd borrowed money from a company owned by my family. He finally realized every step had been orchestrated. I didn't just want him ruined. I wanted him to understand that he was never playing chess. He was the pawn. Graduation rolled around. I stood in my cap and gown, holding a diploma I never got the chance to receive in my previous life. Bittersweet didn't even begin to describe it. I had lost everything in that last life. My dignity, my family, my future. This time, I wasn't going to waste the second chance. My parents, who were alive and well, greeted me at the gate after the ceremony. I hugged them tightly, overwhelmed by emotion. In my past life, they died broken-hearted after my disappearance. My father in a car crash, my mother by suicide. Now they were safe. Because I was alive. Because I fought back. Back home, they insisted I take over the family business. I'd proven my capability. No more internships. No more playing it safe. They trusted me now. And I wasn't alone. The officers who'd helped me during the sting? We kept in touch. Grabbed drinks. Talked life. One night, we were meeting at a late-night barbecue joint when the waiter limped over to take our order. I looked up and froze. It was Ryan. He was gaunt, bearded, sunken-eyed. He walked with a limp and trembled as he placed the beers on the table. Our eyes met. And the instant he recognized me, his face twisted in rage. He grabbed my collar with shaking hands. "It's you. You ruined me. You did all this." He pointed a trembling finger in my face. "Even the loan company was yours. You set me up." I didn't flinch. "Yeah," I said calmly. "Took you long enough to figure that out. You think you're better than me?" He spat. "You always were. Scholarships, girls, money. You never gave anyone else a chance to breathe." I leaned closer. "Ryan, I didn't need to ruin you. You did that all on your own. I just sped it up." He went silent, but his eyes darkened. And then, he lunged. Before I could react, he stormed into the back kitchen and returned holding a kitchen knife. He screamed, "If I can't live, neither can you. If you got a second life, so can I. I'll drag you down with me." I didn't move. Let him swing. Because if he did, this wouldn't just be an assault. It would be attempted murder, and it'd be the final nail in his coffin. Just as he raised the blade, my officer friends jumped into action. They tackled him to the ground, disarmed him, and pinned him down. He thrashed and screamed as they cuffed him. "I'll kill you," he yelled at me. "I swear to God, Jason, you'll regret this." But this time, there were witnesses. This time, he was going to prison. Charged with attempted murder, he was sentenced quickly. 3 months later, I got word from the corrections office. Ryan Carter had died in custody. Suicide. Turns out, after being transferred to a mental facility, he'd started raving about being reborn. Said he had to kill the chosen one to reset the timeline. One night, he slit his own throat with a piece of broken mirror. I stared at the report for a long time, then closed the file. No tears, no smile, just closure. Ryan had betrayed me, tried to destroy my life, and paid the price. Now, I could finally move on. Chapter 4. A clean slate. After Ryan's death, things quieted down. The internet moved on to its next outrage. The university semester ended, and I officially took over day-to-day operations at the family company. My parents insisted it was time. After all, I'd infiltrated a criminal ring, orchestrated a takedown, and survived a near-death experience. Compared to that, board meetings and budgets felt like child's play. I thought it was over. Until one night, during a casual dinner with the same undercover cops who helped me months ago, fate served me one last twist. We were sitting under string lights at a local dive, plates of grilled skewers in front of us, beers sweating in the California summer heat. Just as the last of us arrived and cracked open a cold one, a waiter limped over to deliver our order. I recognized the limp before I saw the face. It was him. Ryan Carter. No, not exactly him. This man looked like a ghost of Ryan. Gaunt, unshaven, clothes too big for his frame, his eyes sunk deep into his skull. But it was definitely him. Our eyes locked. His tray trembled. His lips twitched into a snarl. "You," he growled, barely above a whisper. "You ruined everything." My friends froze mid-bite. He dropped the tray and lunged, gripping the front of my shirt with shaking hands. "It was you. You set me up. You sent me to hell." I didn't resist. I simply looked him in the eye. "And yet you're back?" His jaw clenched. "You think this is living? You think I survived?" His voice cracked into a laugh that bordered on madness. "Even the loan company was yours, wasn't it? You planned it all. The job, the sting, the humiliation. It was all you." I stayed quiet. Because he was right. I had given him the rope. He had chosen to hang himself. But Ryan wasn't done. He shoved me once, then again. "You don't deserve this life. That scholarship should have been mine. That diploma, that internship. Even that girl I liked, she chose you." And there it was. The root of it all. Envy. Bitterness. He hated me not because of what I did, but because of what I was. I leaned in and said, "It must really suck, huh? Knowing that even if you came back from the dead, you'd still be a loser." That did it. He snapped. He darted toward the back kitchen, burst through the door, and came back out with a gleaming kitchen knife. People screamed, but I stood still. I wanted him to strike, because this time the cops were already here. The officers at our table didn't hesitate. 2 of them tackled him to the floor before he could even lift the blade. The knife clattered across the concrete. Ryan screamed like an animal. "Let me go. I'll kill him. I'll kill you all." The owner of the restaurant called the police. My friends showed their badges. Ryan was arrested, again, this time for attempted murder. He didn't get out. He didn't even last long in holding. 3 months later, news reached me that Ryan Carter had committed suicide in custody, slashed his wrists in a padded room using a sharpened toothbrush. They said he kept muttering the same phrase over and over again before he died. I was supposed to be the one to reset it, not him. Some part of me wondered if Ryan, too, had come back like I had. But it didn't matter. This time, the story was finished. This time, I had walked away. Chapter 5. The Return Home. For the first time in years, I felt peace. I had my diploma, my parents were safe, the company was mine, and the ghosts of my past, especially Ryan, were finally laid to rest. I thought I could finally breathe again. But there was one last thing I hadn't done. Go home. Not to my new apartment or the corporate office, but home. The house I grew up in. The place where it had all started. The last time I saw that house in my past life, it was full of sorrow. My mother had gone blind from crying after my death. My father had died in a car crash days later. And eventually, my mother followed, leaving the world in grief and pain. But this time, they were waiting for me. When I opened the door, my mom gasped and rushed forward, pulling me into a hug so tight I could barely breathe. "You should have told us," she cried. "You should have told us you were going to that place. What if something had happened?" Her fingers trembled as they brushed my face. I felt the warmth of her palm, the familiar scent of home. I held her hand tightly. "Nothing's going to happen again, I promise." My father placed a firm hand on my shoulder. "Tell us everything, every single thing." So I did. I sat them down and walked them through the whole story, from the fake job to the scam ring, from Ryan's betrayal to the final takedown. My mom clutched her chest more than once. My dad sat in silence, eyes narrowed and fists clenched. When I finished, she exhaled, then smiled tearfully. "My son," she said, "you've always made us proud. But promise us something, anything. No more reckless bravery," she said. "We want you here, safe, alive." I nodded. I will be. They didn't question my decisions anymore. They didn't lecture me or demand I return to school or play it safe. They knew what I'd been through, and they saw what I'd become. They saw a man, not a boy. A few weeks later, they made it official. I was named CEO. The ceremony was small. Just a press release, some champagne in the office, and a firm handshake from my father as he passed me the reins. But in that moment, I felt the weight of responsibility, and I welcomed it. I kept close ties with the officers who helped me, sometimes inviting them out to dinner, sometimes helping them behind the scenes with intelligence work through our company's security division. One night, at a rooftop bar downtown, one of them leaned in and asked, "You ever think about why this all happened to you?" "You mean the rebirth?" I replied, "Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly common." I sipped my drink. Maybe the universe gives people a second chance to correct a mistake. Maybe it just couldn't stand how dirty the game had gotten. He smiled. "Well, you sure cleaned house." I looked out at the skyline, wind brushing through my hair. Cleaned house indeed. Chapter 6, Shadows from the Past. Just when I thought I'd finally closed that chapter of my life, fate handed me one final twist. It happened at a downtown Korean barbecue joint. I was waiting for a few of my old undercover contacts, cops turned friends. The smell of grilled meat filled the air, and the sound of sizzling fat and clinking beer mugs echoed across the open-air patio. The waiter approached with a noticeable limp. He placed the skewers and drinks on the table, then slowly looked up. Our eyes met, and everything froze. Ryan, alive, or something like him. He looked broken, hollow, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes, sunken cheeks. His clothes hung off his frame, and his hands trembled. I stood up slowly. "You're dead," I said flatly. He stared at me, then smiled. Not the smug smile I once knew, but something bitter. "So are you," he said. "Aren't we both?" I didn't understand what he meant until he grabbed me by the collar. "It was supposed to be me," he hissed. "You think you were the only one who came back?" I froze. He remembered. "You weren't the only one who got a second shot," Ryan said. "Only difference is, you used yours to ruin me. I wanted mine to win." I pushed him off me. "Win what, Ryan? You lost the moment you chose greed over decency." He staggered back, unhinged. "No, I lost because you had everything. The money, the reputation, the chances." I didn't respond. I just looked him dead in the eye. "And what did you do with your second chance?" He was shaking. "You used it to try and destroy me again." He lunged, but before he could touch me, my friends tackled him to the ground. This time there was no fight in him. Just sobbing, cursing, pleading. He was taken away. Again. I didn't see him after that. Not for a while. But 3 months later, I got the call. He was dead. Again. He'd been placed in a psychiatric facility after another violent outburst. Claimed he had visions. That he was meant to reset the timeline. Said I stole fate from him. One night, he snapped completely. Used a broken mirror shard to slice his own throat open. The nurses found him too late. The report said his last words were, "It was supposed to be me." I didn't cry. I didn't even flinch. Instead, I closed the file, walked to my office window, and stared out at the city I now helped run. He got his second chance. So did I. Only difference? I earned mine. And this time, I wouldn't waste a single breath. Chapter 7, Bloodlines and Betrayal. After Ryan's final death, I thought my slate had been wiped clean. But the past wasn't done with me yet. It started with a letter from a private investigator I'd hired months ago, back when everything was still unraveling. I'd almost forgotten about it, until I saw the envelope marked confidential sitting on my office desk. Inside was a genetic report, and a truth I wasn't ready for. I wasn't my parents' biological son. The report was clear. No genetic match with either of them. At first, I thought it had to be a mistake, some kind of lab error. But then I remembered things I'd buried deep. My mom always being a little colder toward me than toward others. My dad being oddly overprotective. Whispers at family gatherings I was never allowed to hear. I sat there for a long time, silent, staring at the paper. Then I called the investigator. What else did you find? I asked. He hesitated. Jason, you were stolen. What? You were abducted from the hospital hours after you were born. I felt my stomach drop. It wasn't just that I didn't belong. I had been taken. By who? There was a long pause. Then your father. Or the man you believed was your father, Daniel King. He couldn't have children. Medical records show he had azoospermia. He took you. And one other baby? My skin went cold. One other? Yes, a baby girl. The records were sealed, but I believe her name was Chloe, I whispered. I had known her all my life as a neighbor's daughter, a girl I used to play with when we were young. She vanished when we were teenagers. Her family moved away without a word. My world tilted. It wasn't just my identity that was a lie, my entire life was. My father had staged everything, even his marriage. And Ryan? He was just the byproduct of my father's failures and bitterness, a weapon that backfired. Fueled by questions, I reached out to the real people who might have been my biological parents. The investigator found them, a quiet couple who had spent the last 20 years looking for a son who vanished from the hospital and was declared presumed dead after years of failed searches. I met them in a cozy cafe in the countryside. The woman took one look at me and broke down in tears. My baby, she whispered, cupping my face in her trembling hands. I didn't cry, but my voice shook when I said, I'm sorry it took me this long. They showed me pictures, baby photos, my original birth certificate, even a news clipping from the day I was taken. It was real, all of it. And with that, a hole I never knew I had began to close. I wasn't just Jason King anymore. I was Jason Evans, son of Margaret and Robert Evans, owners of a billion-dollar biotech empire who had never stopped searching for their stolen child. In their home, I found warmth that didn't feel earned, but was given freely. No expectations, no manipulation, just love. As the weeks passed, I began to piece my new life together. One night, my birth mother sat beside me as we watched old home videos. You're free now, she said softly. No more ghosts, no more revenge, just live. I nodded. But I couldn't stop thinking about Chloe, the other child who had been taken. Where was she? Did she know? Did she also remember a life before? Because if she did, we might not be the only ones who came back. Chapter 8, The Other Rebirth. I couldn't stop thinking about her. Chloe, the other stolen baby, the one my father had taken along with me, raised separately, hidden behind another lie. We'd grown up as strangers, though our lives were tangled from the very beginning. And if I had been reborn into this second chance, was it possible she had too? That question burned inside me until I finally asked the private investigator, Can you find her? He nodded. I've been trying. A week later, he called. We found her. She was living under a different name, Clara Jordan, in another state. No ties to the Kings. No contact with anyone from her past. She worked at a quiet art gallery, alone. No social media. No public photos since high school. I drove there. When I walked into the gallery, she didn't look up at first. She was adjusting a painting on the wall. When she turned around, our eyes met. And I knew. She froze. I stepped forward, unsure how to begin. I think we used to be in the same nursery, I said with a half smile. Her eyes narrowed. And then, just like that, she said it. You remember too. A wave of cold rushed through me. You remember the first life? I asked. She nodded slowly. Not all of it, just flashes, but enough. She walked past the counter, stopped in front of me. They took us, she said. Your father. He called me Chloe back then. But I wasn't his daughter. I never felt like I belonged, not once. My throat tightened. I found out a few months ago. We were both stolen. She took a deep breath. And you came back too? Like I did? I nodded. After I died. Her face didn't flinch. Same. We sat on a bench in the back of the gallery, and for hours we shared the broken timelines of our past lives. The betrayals, the regrets, the second chances. I didn't want revenge, she said quietly. But when I remembered what they did to me, how they controlled me, how they tried to use me as a tool, I couldn't just move on. I looked at her. I didn't want revenge either, I said. At first, silence. Then she turned to me. What now? I shook my head. I don't know. But for the first time in both our lives, we're free. She smiled. It was small but real. That night, as I drove home, I felt lighter. The ghosts were gone. Ryan was gone. My false father was gone. Even the weight of who I was, Jason King, the pawn, the victim, had been shed. I was Jason Evans now, rightful heir, survivor, reborn. And somewhere out there, so was Chloe, starting over, finally able to breathe. Sometimes, fate gives second chances. Not to forget the past, but to win against it. The end.